If you feel overwhelmed with the amount of clutter you have, maybe you've seen minimalist YouTube videos like this and you think, wow, having a easy to manage, less cluttered living space sounds so nice, so much less stressful, but I feel incredibly overwhelmed. How do I even start? This video is for you. And we're gonna go room to room and I'm gonna give you easy, no thought required ideas for what to get rid of. So take this video around, stop it as you walk through your house. We are gonna create more space and less overwhelm for a more enjoyable and peaceful home. So let's get into it. 40 things that you can declutter right now. You will not miss them. Let's start with the kitchen. First things first, throw out all of your expired and old past their prime food in the fridge. Old condiments that you don't use anymore. Maybe they're half full. Maybe they've got some mold in them. Maybe you bought it, discount, you thought, oh, that sounds nice. It wasn't, you never use it, and now it's just taking up space in your fridge. It also means expired foods in your pantry. Another thing is food. Maybe it's not necessarily expired, but it's food that you bought thinking that you or your family would enjoy, whether that's teas, coffees, snack foods that you guys didn't enjoy, you're not consuming, and they're just sitting on your shelf. I have had this where I've put a bag together and I've texted my neighbors or friends and said, hey, I know it's weird, but we have a barely opened bag of this. We bought this tea, we don't use it. Do you want any of this? Usually, I've been able to actually give it away. Another one, if you're like me and you keep your supplements in your kitchen, supplements that you bought thinking that they were gonna solve all your problems and it didn't, and they're sitting there in this giant supplement graveyard. Refrigerator magnets. If you use some and you love some, that's awesome. But if you've got this whole collection just taking up clutter, every time you go to open your fridge, some of them fall off. There's so much clutter happening in the front of your fridge. Declutter. If you want to keep some, pick the ones you absolutely love and donate the rest. Single-use kitchen items or gadgets that you don't use regularly. Now, a lot of times those single-use kitchen gadgets, they take up a ton of space and they serve such a small function, but sometimes they can be really useful, right? So if you have a lemon squeezer, you might use that thing all the time, and that is of value to you. But there's so many that we've collected over the years that we think will add convenience to our life that we rarely use and just end up taking up clutter and space. So for me, that looked like my giant juicer that I really rarely use but took up a ton of space in my cabinet, melon baller, apple slicer, as well as duplicates of things. So 2 can openers or 2 slow cookers. You don't need 2 of these things most of the time. Declutter the excess mugs. Gimmicky ones, cheap ones that are chipped, ones you don't like, ones you don't use. Also goes for excess cheap cups. So I'm thinking like, you know, those collector cups you'd get free from ball games or free from this event. I used to have a stack of those old plastic ones. Now let's move into the living room. We want to declutter paper clutter. So old junk mail, old things that documents you've kept that need to be shredded, things that need to be organized and gone through. The next one is furniture that is really worn down, broken, isn't serving its purpose properly, or if you have excess and you can actually minimize into one. So let's say you have 2 kind of hutches in the living room, and after decluttering you can minimize into the one that you really like. One of them's more worn down, maybe broken. That is a bigger job to do, but it creates so much space and creates so much more breathing room. Excess blankets or blankets that have past their prime. We all know what they are. If you have a toddler, you definitely know what these are. It's like there's rips, they're full of pills, they've lost their comfort. And on this same note, ratty throw pillows or pillows that have lost their prime. Maybe you just have an excess amount of throw pillows and asking yourself, is this adding to the way I want to feel when I sit on my couch? Is this adding to comfort? Is this adding to the look I want, or does it feel cluttered? Are there ones that I really love and ones that I don't? Next are excess cords or plugins, chargers that you don't need or are to things that you don't even have anymore. That is I'm very guilty of this. Minimizing to maybe 1 or 2 chargers for your phone, just the basics of what you need, and getting rid of excess plugins, attachments, all of those things that take up a lot of space. Storage items, like a lot of baskets or like those organizers. I have found that I bought a ton of like baskets to put on counters and those cute little storage items or an organizer. I thought the answer was to buy things to organize all the things that I had. But once I started simplifying, I found that it kind of created this snowball effect because I didn't need all the things that I bought to organize all the clutter that I had. Excess frames that you haven't used. So if you don't have a specific need, like you have a plan for that frame and you haven't used it in months, donate it. Old, half-used notebooks and planners and journals. We all know it's like you buy a new one, you use it for a little bit, and then you kind of lose it. Books that you don't read a lot, you have no desire to reread. Trimming down the excess means that you will be left with books that you actually really love and truly have added to your life, as well as cookbooks that you don't use. I held on to so many beautiful cookbooks that were gifted to me or something because I just loved the way they looked, but I never used them. Or I used we really only liked maybe 1 or 2 recipes in them. By that time, I knew, like the back of my hand, I didn't need the book. It's not living its best life on my shelf, and donating it, knowing that someone will probably find it and actually really get excited at finding it at a Goodwill or a donation store or something like that. Excess utensils and office supplies, like having 60 pens around, having a ton of staplers, paper clips, that kind of thing. This is kind of living, kind of not, but this has to do with your phone. Decluttering the apps on your phone that you don't really use. Maybe you downloaded it for a season of your life, you're never on it. Declutter those apps you don't use. We have a physical home, but a lot of us in modern day and age, we're on our phone a lot, and that can be kind of like the home for our mind a lot of times. And so if it's cluttered, or if it's a source of stress, fear, anxiety, shame, decluttering that so that that device right there is not a source of angst. Old cards or letters. I think that sometimes I had a hard time getting rid of old cards that had been given to me because it felt like I was saying something about the person that gave it to me, or I felt like it was mean to them. But the truth is that me getting rid of this birthday card that I got 5 years ago, that means nothing about the relationship I had with the person that gave it to me, right? And if it is sentimental, if you do love it, I have found that I take pictures of those old letters and I save them in a file, or those old cards, because in my experience, usually they already get damaged anyway, moving from place to place. Taking a picture of it so that it is really memorialized, so you can always look at it, you're not worried about it getting ruined. That was super helpful for me, to just not worry about it and not have it take up space. Let's go to the bedroom. Declutter your socks and underwear that are super old or have holes in them. I cannot be the only person that kept underwear for years and years when they were falling apart. Donate clothes that don't fit you, they don't fit your body, or they haven't fit you in over a year. As a mom that is breastfeeding, you want to have more kids, maybe you're postpartum, it could be hard when your body's in a season where it's going through change. There's nothing wrong with having a small collection of clothes that are maybe your postpartum clothes that are more flowy. There are different, maybe jeans in a couple different sizes. This isn't to say that you want to get rid of things unnecessarily. But if there is something that hasn't fit you in over a year, and it's just this constant reminder that it doesn't fit you, and maybe you walk in and you feel ashamed that you're not a certain size or that your body's changed, and it's not adding presence to your life, it is just causing shame or stress, we don't have space for that. And on that same note, clothes that you bought for your fantasy self. I'm buying this so that when I'm this size, I'll fit that. Or I want to be that kind of person that dresses like this. Any of those clothes that you bought not for the person and the season of your life that you're in right now, it's not serving you, it's not serving a purpose, you can choose to let them go. Not just the clothes, but all the attachments you have to those clothes. I went through this becoming a mom, obviously, because it wasn't even just about my size. It was even certain clothes didn't fit me anymore. I didn't want to wear those kind of clothes. I didn't really want, that didn't reflect me anymore. So even if I did fit it, it didn't fit me anymore. So being able to release that and not holding on to the person I was or the season of my life that I was in then, being able to release that and say, it's okay that that's not where I am anymore. It's okay because I want to live my life here, where I am right here. I don't want anything that's going to steal the presence from my life where I am now. Seasonal clothes that you haven't worn in all the last 4 seasons. So excess hats, scarves, gloves, things that you held on to because you thought, oh, well, I don't want to get rid of it. It's not winter yet. But then winter goes by and you're here next year and you're thinking, wow, the whole winter went by and I didn't wear those things. Old and expired makeup, as well as old skincare that's expired, or skincare that you bought thinking it was gonna make you have that glass dewy skin and it just irritated it. Search around, ask your friends if it's so good, seeing if anyone wants to try this serum. Other than that, there's no point in it kind of taking up space in your life. Excess hair accessories that you don't regularly use. It doesn't matter if it's trendy. It doesn't matter if I bought them and I spent money on them. I never wear them. They're taking up excess space. I can donate them. Another option is old wedding outfits. Maybe you've been a bridesmaid a few times. You got that dress that the bride wanted you to get. You never really wear it. You wear it for that one thing. Sell it, donate it. Costume jewelry or cheap jewelry that hurts your ears, or it's tarnished, or it is damaged, broken. Purses that you don't use, or they only go with like one outfit, and so you hold on to this one clutch because it looks really cute with this one outfit. Months and months and months go by, you never really wear it. It might be an opportunity to get rid of it. The last thing in this category, shoes that hurt your feet. I'm just no longer going to wear shoes that hurt my feet. I won't. Let's talk about children's items. Broken toys, or toys that have a ton of missing pieces. They're not really serving their purpose anymore, especially if your kid's anything like mine. It gets to the point where the only way they're playing with it really is just to throw it everywhere. Which case, it's time to go. The next thing is excess baby items. Baby blankets. You know, I had hand-me-downs, people gifted them to me. I used baby blankets, but I did not need 20 of them. So sometimes it's not about getting rid of all of them, or getting rid of all of the bottles, or all of the accessories, or all of the binkies, whatever it is that you used, especially if you're still in that season of life where you want to have more kids. But maybe asking yourself, do I have too many of these things? Can I just keep the highest quality ones, the ones that I really like, the ones that I really used? Last category is the garage. First things first, we're getting rid of damaged or soiled items. So maybe even things that you didn't want to keep that got water damaged, not really worth keeping anymore, getting rid of them. As well as items that you have not used in an entire year. Like if you're into snow sports, maybe you've got sleds, you got your snowboards, you've got these things. In the summer, you got that blow up pool and these pool accessories. If the entire season has gone by and you maybe forgot you had it, you didn't use it, and you didn't really miss it, then it's probably a sign that you don't need it. The last thing in this section are old baby items, particularly if you are done with your season of life where you're no longer having babies. Your child's old high chair, and they still had their old bassinet, and they still had their old this, and we keep them because maybe my child will grow up and want to have it for their child, or it was so sweet and you have such an attachment to it. I get it, I'm a mom. That thing does not hold the memory, right? That does not hold your child's childhood. It's just a thing that you're having to manage, or it's getting damaged, or it's taking up space and you're having to manage, and it's not serving the season of life that you are in, that your family's in right now. Sometimes I think we forget that when we are holding on to the past in certain ways, it can make less space for the present and our future. Maybe the garage can serve as space for your family that's more functional to where you are now, getting rid of all that stuff and putting a ping pong table or a hangout room, whatever it is. The last thing in this entire list that I'm gonna say is guilt clutter. These are things that you're keeping around purely for the sake of feeling too guilty to give them away. So you are managing it, you're keeping it. This could be a piece of clothing, this could be a piece of furniture, this could be anything that you're keeping just because of the guilt. Whether that's a guilt because someone gave it to you and you feel guilty about giving it away even though it's not serving you or your family, it's taking up space, it's causing stress, or the guilt of feeling like you're wasting your money. I don't even know where I heard this. It might have been the Minimal Mom. I don't know who to give credit for, but I remember years ago watching a video and someone said, the money was not wasted when you gave it away. It was wasted when you bought it. I think that moment of us giving it away is hard for us because we're having to admit what that was a waste of money. But the money is not wasted then. The money is wasted when you bought it because you were never going to use it. Do a cost analysis and say, I am wasting time, money, presence, managing this thing, or I can release it and let go of the guilt associated with it. And there you have it. About 40 things that you could declutter right now that will give you more space and peace in your home. I am Jess, and I make videos on minimalism, slow living, and intentional motherhood. If you're into that, I'd love to see you join our community. I will see you in the next video.